Hey there, friends. How's it going today? My name's Carpo, and I'm here to talk about this one big question I've always had. I think a lot of people have, but maybe we just haven't thought about it enough. Is handmade better than machine made? You know, every time I go to buy something in my life, this I, this thought comes up about whether or not the thing was made by, a sweatshop or whether it was mass produced or uh, you know, whether it's just some cheap piece of crap that's going to get thrown away in a few months. I try to be a conscientious consumer. And most of the things we buy, a lot of the things we would think, well, it's much easier to buy some machine woven cheap basket from IKEA than it would be to buy a handmade one from some, import shop, right? Especially if it's not something that we're going to use a lot, maybe a decorative piece, because things can be very expensive if we pay what they really cost. But that brought me to my thinking about guitars and whether or not a handmade guitar is even worth it a lot of the time. Now, if you have a name for yourself, then you can sell your merchandise in any industry, whatever it might be. If Fender, the company Fender, or Gibson, or Ibanez or any of the guitar companies come out with a limited edition guitar where there's only 50 made, I'm going to tell you, it doesn't matter if the thing looks like a sperm cell, it will sell like hotcakes. It'll probably sell better that way. The truth is, even if it looked completely ridiculous to something that nobody would ever want to play, people would buy it for the rarity because it's a brand name. And the brand names always sell. Then brand names end up coming out with these subsidiaries and smaller companies, little offshoots. And so, to get to my point here, we have my electric guitar right here. The only one I've ever actually bought. I traded it actually on Craigslist. It's just an LTD, which, from my understanding, is an ESP kind of generic subsidiary from probably China. I don't know. And it's a beautiful guitar. It has two humbuckers. It has three switches. Just simple, simple guitar. Three knobs. A bridge, and a switch up here. And it's the only guitar I've ever bought. I don't really care for it that much, honestly. But it looks really pretty and has quilted maple top and everything. And now knowing what I know about guitars, I think, okay, yeah, the quilted maple, whoop-de-doo. It's moved in these huge batches of like hundreds of them and then cut up all at the same time with these big old machines. Then the CNC routers do all the work and the people only see the very last process. Call me a little bit stubborn, but I think handmade shit really still matters. But look at this thing. It's beautiful. I mean, the finish on it is perfect. It's gorgeous. I'm afraid to even play it. I don't want to scratch up the back of it. It has the ESP plate. Looks like a mahogany neck. I'm not sure, but it's a good guitar. This guitar you can buy right now for probably $300 at a used guitar store. Probably, maybe even 250. I think even new, it was like $400. It's not an expensive guitar. So here I am with this $400 guitar, right? That I used to model my first guitar, which is the first one I've actually finished. I have another one that broke, but this is my first real guitar. This thing, even though I think this is mahogany, mahogany is heavy, so I don't care for it. But this one is a through neck maple neck guitar that is made with the sides of walnut. It's all from the Pacific Northwest, and this is a very simple three-way switch right here with three knobs or four knobs. You don't have there's two volume and two tone control, and right now I don't have the knobs on it because I'm using it for my other bass. But a simple output, and I don't have the strings on it, but it has a Purple Heart fretboard, and this is pretty much the same exact guitar as this thing, except this was handmade in the Pacific Northwest, and this was part made in China and elsewhere. This right here will sell for hopefully twice what this sells for. Now that's the funny thing here. I'm going to have to sell my guitar for at least twice what I bought that for, or what that's worth. So like 800, 900. I was going to start my guitars at like 900 bucks, 950. Handmade guitar is very expensive. And I started reading the forums and saying, God, that sounds ridiculous. How am I going to ever get people to pay that much? And I thought, no, I want to know what people really say. And so I started reading these forums with people saying, I can't stand that something's made with a CNC router. If you're not aware of how these things operate, there are like 10 different routers like working on the same, you throw in a bunch of blanks and it makes you a bunch of necks. There's no love put into it. And people like love that's put into something. If you look at this neck, you can even see it has a certain texture to it. It's not perfect. And well, I made it, I guess it's kind of a D shape. So it's very much thinner right here on the upper part, so you can get up into the upper, frets. Because I gradually felt it as I went, and I used a rasp to get it the way I wanted it as I went. Maybe that's not the way that everybody wants to do shit, but I really appreciate something that's handmade and something that, is made for the consumer. This is the bass I just finished. It's not finished, sorry. It still needs some final work done on the plate. It still has the sticker on it and everything, but dual P-bass pickups, which are basically humbuckers. Really nice bass plate down here. We've got a simple 3-knob setup at the moment, and I might install a switch. But this center one here is a push-pull switch, which will switch between the pickups. And frets are all beautifully done. And then the head is zebra wood with a piece of lapis lazuli and a nice little pattern on the back. And I think the zebra wood fits nicely with that pine texture that I kept on this thing. I ground it out with like a wire brush, and so I thought, yeah, this thing is awesome. I love it. But what's the cool thing, and the point of it here is that there ain't a fucking another one like it on earth. Not a single guitar like that. There's not one bass in the world that looks like that. And it might be close. There might be similar basses, but since I designed everything specifically piece by piece, everything from the headstock to the neck to the head, that little curve on it and everything, and the pick guard. The thing is, there are some basic shapes that a guitar will take. And I guess the point I'm trying to make here is that I'm not trying to toot my own horn and saying, oh, I make custom guitars and they're worth a bunch of money. It's the opposite. It's that it's hard to start a business in a world where a whole bunch of big names already have all the clout. And you want to be able to sell your own guitars and know that they are high quality. You're not able to buy in the same quantity as they are, whether it be buying potentiometers or switches. But honestly, we're all pretty much in the same boat. Looking at the math from what's been done on how much it costs to build a guitar, for those who are curious, of raw materials from stage 1 all the way to completion, without time spent, just materials, it's anywhere between $150 and $650. So if you buy Fishman Fluence pickups and you do an active setup and really fancy Grover tuners and everything on there, or you do some kind of like headless system with a $450 tuning system, that will add some cost, but the average cost is a couple $100 to build a guitar. The time that's put into it and the amount of effort that goes into it is something totally different, and something that I think is overlooked. And that's when it's easy for people to say, well, I could just have a machine do it a lot quicker. You definitely could. Definitely could. But I worked in carpentry for most of my life, and I know that there are people, I felt the same way about doing construction. I thought, why should I build custom kitchen cabinets? Because there are people out there who can just buy it from China. But talking to homeowners, they wanted something that was hand-built. They wanted a name on something. And that to me meant more than anything. So It's the same way with guitars. So if anything, I'm hoping this inspires other people who want to build to not be scared away and think that, oh, the market's too hard and people are just buying generic things and nobody wants anything handmade. It's not true. People still do. Glass blowers have suffered the same kind of bullshit over the last several decades, couple decades, with people buying Chinese-made glass pipes for like $10. Everybody who smokes weed knows that at a head shop now you can buy a pipe for like $5 that used to cost you like $30, and it's because somebody always does it cheaper. But there is a limit. There are people who want to say, no, this glass was blown by so-and-so. And I'm hoping that eventually I can have the same thing said about this guitar. For example, like this is the first bass that was ever sold by Carpo, when he started his Carpo's guitars. And, but building a business requires you focus, and it requires that you're dedicated not just to your craft, but to your name and to your education. Things are different than they ever were before. There's so much we can learn from each other. And YouTube especially has opened so many horizons to guitar builders, to carpenters in general. One of the earliest videos I did was about how to use a Krieg jig, a pocket hole, drilling jig. Still has 100,000 views and people still ask questions about it. Of course, I get a lot of crap like, hey, this wasn't a very quality video. I'm like, whoa, it was like 10 years ago, man. Things have changed a lot. Now everybody expects like completely custom, drone zooming in on their freaking guitar and shit. Anyway, another story altogether. What do you all think about the cost of handmade things, and is it worth it? And if you're interested in any of my guitars, check out my other channel, my YouTube channel that is, Carpo Craft, derp. And also I have an Instagram, Carpo Craft Guitars, and I just started that. And I'm going to be sharing a lot of info on there too. I've been posting all my pictures of the stuff that I'm doing on there, so it'll be flooded. Talk to you next time. Oh yeah, Carpo Craft Guitars. That's what it is. Go look it up on Instagram and sign up. I hate Instagram, but I love it because it's going to allow me to grow my business. So people insisted I get it, and I did it. Be well.